Friends, we are on day 18 of our journaling practice. And what I love is the comments here, as well as I'm getting a lot of emails around how this has helped the mind just begin to relax and see the transiting system different, see the life different, see the movie different. And that's the whole point of me showing up here for you guys for the next 21, 22 days, or that culmination of those days. Because when I first entered into design, probably same as you, it's like, oh, this is so awesome. And you try to figure out in your mind, and you work in your mind, and you work and all the materials going through the mind. And then there comes a point where it's like, oh, there has to be an embodiment of it. And between 3.5 and 7 years, what you notice is that there's this expansion that happens. Now, I was in classes for 10 years straight. I took classes. So I was still mentally going through the process and embodying it at the same time. And I felt the shift at 3.5 years. And then at 7 years, there was this huge moment that took place inside. But I was still mentally trying to figure it out. And you will go through the same process, depending on how long you've been in design. So in the mentorship that we did yesterday, we started it yesterday. This is going to be an open process where anybody can join at any time. What I love is I'm at this space now where I'm attracting those human beings that do have that quietude of mind, that are ready to go deeper than just quote unquote learning, but they're ready to embody. They're ready to go to that quietude of mind, and they're ready to sit in the truth of the mechanical aspect and then just watch it all take place. They're ready to embody the laws of the universe, see them differently. And then I have a couple of gene key professionals in there that will help us really lean into that. Because it is something that I never really thought that I would bring into the practice of human design until the last few weeks, when I actually went onto Richard Rudd's website and realized, I purchased all of his stuff years ago. So I started going through the material, and he's also on my fractal line. He's a 5th base human being in his nodes. So I was just open to the process. And because I was trying to figure everything out mentally, I didn't embrace the gene keys. And now I'm embracing the gene keys. So there's going to be so much information in there. We have Reiki masters. We have astrology masters. So it's going to be this beautiful community where we can all be supported, read charts, learn the system, lean into ourselves, and decondition in a way where there's full support and full compassion. So just so you know that is available to you if you choose it. Now let's take a look at today and our transiting chart today. So what you may or may not notice is that, again, we don't have any like major shifts, okay? There's no major transitions happening. However, when we moved from the 61, 62, we moved into the 60 and the 56. So what I love is that the 61 is this inner mystery, right? It's that fuel for mystery, but the pressure of the unknown, okay? And it's actually rooted because the opposites in the chart in the 62. So truth actually wants detail. It actually wants some factual detail. Can facts be manipulated? Yeah, I think numbers and facts can be manipulated however they want to be manipulated. But truth isn't manipulated, but it lands in a place where there is this, it's almost like a formula. It's a detail that the truth lies in, okay? Now we lean into limitation. And limitation, again, like I said yesterday, it is the fuel for restraint, but is the pressure to mutate. But guess where it's landed in or grounded in, I guess I want to say, is this 56. It's the gate of wandering. The wanderer. The gate of stimulation. Okay. So limitation actually opens us up How can we transcend it? Well, we can transcend it by leaning in deeper into our own experiences. Okay, moving with limitation, because the 56 is abstract, and abstract wants movement. Why? Because it is through the emotional center, and the emotions want movement. So there's this continuity that goes through, right? Linking all of your activities. So when we look at limitation, if it's by itself, it feels very confining. And then when we open it up to the 56 and we ground it in the 56, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have all of this plethora of experience. I have all of these stories. Now you're transcending the limitation because of the experience. Okay, so you guys get to play off of this and see these kind of things in the chart. And that's what I bring into the mentorship as well, is let's open up our view of how we can actually see design and how we can, move around the mandala and the chart and go deeper into all of these aspects. And we had our beautiful moon that moved from the 9. Again, the 9 has a lot to do with focus. There was a question in a Facebook group around meat and becoming a vegetarian, and something that Ra worked with a naturopath and a biologist. And the 9 and the 52, which is about concentration, that aspect does want to eat red meat. So maybe as a vegetarian, and I'm not saying that you have to follow everything in design. That's not what I'm saying. It's not an absolute. It's trusting the strategy and authority. Because of course, then the people that were, vegans for life, they, jump on that and they get really upset. And it's not about that. It's about recognizing that there are aspects of the design that that do want to have red meat. And if you can find a red meat source that is high vibe, like I am a cattle rancher, our cows are like so well loved. You can pet them, you can love them. We don't give jabs of any kind, no vaccines, no steroids, no hormones, no nothing. They get grass, they get hay in the winter, high quality hay, but they don't get grain. They get just love. So it's high vibe meat. It's high quality meat. And again, if you're a vegan, that's okay. But notice that when we have transits like the 9 or the 52 going through the transiting system, be aware that the body it just may reach out for some kind of meat source, red meat source. Okay. It just might, just so you're aware of that, and just follow what the body is indicating, not what the conditioned mind is indicating, but what the body's indicating. And now it's in the 5. Well, what is the 5? The 5 is a part of our cellular structure. The 515 is in every animate object. It is the cell. It is the bedrock of living life on our current earth plane. So the 5 is about looking at waiting. It's looking at scheduling. It's looking at having a space where it can lean into flow. Okay. And then it's going to move into the 26. And of course, I love the 26 because what the 26 really is this is our space where we can lean into the ego. And some people say that the ego is bad. I see the ego as something completely different, as long as it's not the conditioned mind that you're getting that confused with. The ego is this space where we can willfully move forward. We can willfully look at our material plane differently. That's how I see it. Again, we still have the 58, the joy. I had a client yesterday, and this is part of his chart. And I had a sense that as a little boy, he actually was kind of a comedian and kind of a jokester. So I asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, I totally was. And I'm like, where did you lose that? At what point did that stop happening in your life? And he's like, well, I became an adult, went to work, blah, 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 all these things. So my prescription for him was go find an open mic comedy night and go have some fun. His whole entire body structure shifted. His face shifted, everything shifted. It's like, oh, I can do that? Yeah, lean into some joy. Lean into some joy and see what happens in your life. What brings you joy? Do you even know what brings you joy? Do you know what brings you a giggle? Do you know what brings you a laugh? That's the wisdom that we can bring here in this 58. And because it's a part of Venus, or sorry, part of Mercury, it really is this communication and thinking. What do you communicate? How do you communicate joy? How do you think about joy? 44, again, this alertness, really being alert to the patterns, because I think that as humanity moves forward, we are totally deconditioning from trauma. And because we're deconditioning from trauma, we have to meet what was in the past so that we can lean into what we can move into in the future. And what are you identifying with? Do you love your job? If you love your job, excellent. Be in it. Love it. Are you struggling in your job? Do you see something different? Well, what do you identify with inside of that particular job so that you can extrapolate all the best parts of your life? What do you actually identify with? And then lean into that talent so that you can, land in a position, whether that be an entrepreneurial journey or a career path that really, really brings you this beautiful identification where you can be enthusiastic about standing in that place and knowing that, you're on purpose. You are there honoring clientele, you're there honoring yourself. And it just brings, again, it's landing inside that joy. It brings you joy. Okay. And again, the 25, I love the 25 because the 25 for me really is, I just see this as this beautiful. It's beauty. Innocence is beauty. When you look at a little kid and there's just so much innocence there and they say what they mean. They point out adults' flaws. They just are the purest sense of purity. That's what I love about the 25 is that I feel like it just brings that beautiful childlike innocence. So where did you lose your innocence? What happened that you lost your innocence? Journal about this. Do you know what innocence feels like? Do you know what innocence feels like? And is there a new direction that you are being asked to look at? Doesn't mean that you have to go for it. Doesn't mean that. It just means that there's wisdom here around direction, around material direction, because the 2 is material direction. And because this is the most receptive gate in the body graph, I don't know, that won't stay up. But if you look at the hexagram, it's the most receptive gate. What are you being open to receiving and what are you totally closed off from? Okay. And the 49 is that revelation, revolution, that where do you want your principles to come into your life and you don't want to lose those principles? The guiding factors of the laws of the universe really guide us on this. And again, this is something that I've said a lot over the course of the last 18 days. I think the 19 and the 49, when it moves apart from each other, and it splits, and there's no longer quote unquote a channel here. I think that we are going to stop sacrificing our mental health and our wellness and our purpose for a material plane that doesn't serve us. I think that we're going to embody the teachings and the revolution and the principles that transformed humanity for thousands and thousands of years, which we lost due to the cross of planning and the delusional aspect of the cross of planning, which was all by design. And then again, the crisis, leaning into that crisis aspect. and looking at that 36, looking at those spaces where, you know, you went to the darkening of the light. We all do it. It's a movement up and down. It's designed to be a movement up and down. That's how the human experiential way is. Looking at that crisis in a different way, looking at that trauma in a different way, and then coming to that rationalization that in amongst all of this, you're still individual. You are here to lean into your individuality, to really come to the space of rationalizing for yourself the transformation and the renewal that is available to you when the conditioning field is no longer running the life. Okay, so that's just kind of an overview today. We have a few more days before we shift, and on 38 minutes after, is that what it is? Yeah, 38 minutes after the hour on the 22nd will be our new year, and we will play. All right, friends, take care. Bye.